Parades canceled, bars closed, crowds suppressed. Mardi Gras joy is muted this year in New Orleans as authorities seek to stifle the coronavirus's spread. Mardi Gras, or Fat Tuesday, is the annual pre-Lenten bash celebrated along much of the Gulf Coast, with the biggest celebration in heavily Catholic New Orleans. Last year's revelry is now believed to have contributed to an early surge that made Louisiana a southern COVID-19 hotspot. This year, bars are being forced to close during the final weekend of the season, which began on Friday. Parades that generally start 12 days before the big day have been stilled. Mayor LaToya Cantrell is promising a crackdown on large crowds. Not sure if you guys know this right now, but it is 39 degrees in New Orleans right now. That is part of the whole southern, state storm surge that's happening, and it's insanity. But Mardi Gras is another casualty to coronavirus.
Yeah, well, it normally brings $1 billion to New Orleans, so that's a lot of pockets that, won't get fed that money. If you think about it, it's going to hurt all the venues, the stores in that area. But at the end of the day, people I know, it's 39 degrees, but if they could get some drinks and some some food and throw some beads, they might try and show up for this. But you got to understand that we have to continue to mask up and be safe and do the right thing. I know people are tired of being locked in the house, but you got to just wait this one out and just anticipate doing it next year. You do.
Exactly. But Mardi Gras is a good time. So hopefully next year we will all be vaccinated and ready to go, because I love it.
Okay.
It definitely puts things in perspective on just how serious the pandemic is, right?
Yeah.
Because can you imagine in a state like Louisiana, where you could get away with a little lighter restrictions than a state like California potentially, that the mayor would actually once again say we can't do this?
You can get away with drive-through drinking in Louisiana, okay? Like the daiquiri drive-through spots. I thought that was just like, what?
Right.
But
just the fact that the mayor would take this step to say, we can't do this. It's actually too dangerous to have something that is largely outside. It puts everything in perspective.
Absolutely.
Truly does. All right. Now, President Biden on Sunday approved an emergency declaration for Texas, and multiple governors have declared a state of emergency as winter storms take over the southern United States. Southern states are experiencing snow and freezing rain as they endure the coldest temperatures in years, decades, and in one case, a century. Snow is piling in Texas and Oklahoma and is expected to grow heavier later Sunday. State officials have encouraged residents to stay home amid the weather, with Texas, Oklahoma, and Arkansas all deploying the National Guard to respond to the disaster, according to the Associated Press. All 254, excuse me, I don't know, I just making them my own numbers there. All 254 counties in Texas received a winter storm warning from the NWS as of Sunday afternoon, as the state braces for continuing low temperatures, wind chills, and precipitation from freezing rain to snow over at least the next day, the Texas Tribune is reporting. Oklahoma City is expected to reach negative 11 degrees on Tuesday morning, the lowest temperatures in 116 years, according to the Washington Post. Now, I don't want to say this is dramatic, but of course, I lived in Chicago my entire life. I talked to one of my homegirls today who lives in Austin, and she was just like, she's like, yes, it's bad. I texted her, is it as bad as, she was like, yes, it's bad. She said, but I'm from Chicago. And so she's like, they just don't, they weren't expecting this. I was reading on Twitter that a lot of people have been accusing the city, accusing Texas of not having proper planning for something like this. They also said that the ability of some companies that generate power have been frozen. As of this morning, 2.7 million customers were without power. So this is how I grew up, you guys, like with snow. So this is not new to me. You know what I mean? Like, this is every day, every winter in Chicago is like this.
I think we all can relate to this. Oklahoma gets it. We know what Canada gets, so we already know between Canada and Chicago. But that looks like St. Louis if you think about it, man. It was -1 when I called my mom to wish her happy Valentine's Day. But it's the weakening of the polar jet stream is what's causing all this. Now, was Trump really concerned about climate change when he was in office? Did he show any concern?
I think he was a climate change denier, very specifically. I'm from Oklahoma. In Oklahoma and Texas, we do get snow. So the snow is nothing new. But our systems aren't set up for piles and piles of snow like we're seeing here. And honestly, the most dangerous issue is ice. And we get freezing rain, we get ice, we get black ice in ways that other states have never seen. And actually, last week, it was a horror show in Fort Worth, Texas, a 133 car pileup. 6 people lost their lives because ice froze all over the interstate, and one by one, there's videos of it, 133 cars couldn't even control it. So you're on your way to work like a normal day, and boom, you slide into another car. 133 cars. That's how dangerous it is right now in Texas. And there's nothing you can do about it.
Black ice is one of those things that has been the scariest thing for me, because in Chicago, we have absolutely had black ice. A good friend of mine, a soror of mine, actually passed away from driving on black ice, didn't know it, and so I mean, we've had black ice too, and it's always one thing that has been so scary for me.
Yeah, and when it's covered with snow, you just can't see it.
You can't see it, yeah.
All right, so mates, officials at Virginia College chose to forfeit a basketball game instead of allowing players to kneel during the national anthem to protest racial injustice. Bluefield College in Western Virginia forfeited the Appalachian Athletic Conference game on Thursday after suspending several players for taking a knee during the anthem before games in January and February, Sports Illustrated reported. School President David Olive said in a lengthy statement to local NBC affiliate WVVA-TV that the basis for his decision to suspend players stemmed from my own awareness of how kneeling is perceived by some in our country. I did not think a number of our alumni, friends, and donors of the college would view the act of kneeling during the anthem in a positive way. Now, understand these athletes, that young generation that we're so proud of, they were doing this after the insurrection on January the 6th. That's what motivated them to do this. And David Olive can best believe that a lot of black recruits will not be coming to that area after this. Because I think after you pull this, after what's going on, you're still showing you're not willing to change. You're not listening. And that's the problem that we're having here with this situation.
Romeo, that's exactly what one of the players that put out a statement. First thing, it's very brave of these players. After they were suspended, they said that they weren't even going to come outside for the national anthem. They stayed in their locker room during the national anthem. So you guys know how I feel about college athletes and things like that and how important it is. And so, I mean, to put your college career on the line to fight for something important to you is very brave. But one of the students said that Dr. Olive told us that our rights were limited when we put the jersey on our chest. So they pretty much said, well, that jersey is basically shackles to us, like slavery. And so I was like, that is really intense. That the principal or whatever told them, when you put this jersey on, you belong to us. And they were going to show, actually, we don't. So I love it that they were brave enough to stand up for something that they believe in.
Yeah, I think you're talking about Stanley Christian is the player that you're talking about, Demi. He also said that as a result of this decision, they don't want the season taken away from them, so they are going to remain in the locker room during the national anthem. Yeah. But I just think that this was a really bad decision on the president of the school's part. I think he's going to be on the wrong side of history.
Yeah, it really is.
What's so frustrating for me watching that is that the president there prioritized everybody, alumni, other administrators, maybe even some fans, but didn't prioritize the athletes. Yeah. The student athletes should matter the most.
Yes.
In this situation, you can't do it without them. You can't be there. There would be nothing to be there. The money coming in for sports, it wouldn't be there without them. Yeah. Everybody else can go. The athletes can't. And so you're prioritizing how other people may view this, but why doesn't it matter how the actual athletes view it?
Yeah. That's a great point, Brooke. He absolutely put donors and everybody else, and it's kind of like totally irrelevant. These are black men, and we need to show more love and compassion and care for what they're
When they plead their case,
for.
He just listened like he didn't care.
Yeah.
He sat there, so.
All right, new research from LinkedIn shows nearly half of black professionals have faced discrimination in the workplace. Many are thinking of leaving their job because they say there is a lack of advancement or growth opportunities at work. In a study from the National Bureau of Economic Research, job applicants with ethnic-sounding names were 50% less likely to get a callback than those with white-sounding names. LinkedIn career expert Andrew McCaskill says the unfortunate fact is that a lot of professionals are starting to feel like they have to whiten their resume or remove racial descriptors from their resumes. LinkedIn found 25% of black professionals feel they would face retaliation for speaking out about race and inclusion at work. Research from 2019 found black Americans only made up 3.2% of senior leadership roles at large companies, even though 81% of those surveyed said seeing black professionals in leadership makes the workplace feel more inclusive. This is kind of goes to a big criticism of some, more new progressive policies, right? So when you put a focus on class and economic equity and you do not include race, this is what happens. And so we can pay people more and pay people what they're deserving and a living wage. You know what I'm thinking of, like kind of minimum wage jobs. But what does it matter if people who have black sounding names, cultural names, can't get hired in the first place if we don't address every aspect of the systemic issues in our country.
That's true. And sometimes they're judged based on what they post or the pictures that they have there. So they almost have to go undercover to try to get a decent job, because if you show your true color, people may not accept you. They may not want that within their work environment. And I think that's a very sad situation. Also, I was reading where I guess if you can search on LinkedIn, because I'll be honest, I'm not on that much. If you search Black Lives Matter, you're going to get things like the Nashville Tea Party talking about gun violence in Chicago, saying, hey, where are the leaders at? What are protesters are for that? Or forget that all lives matter. So it's even at that stage, which to me, that also happens on Facebook. If someone's trying to hire you and they want to do some background, they'll see how you live and the things you post there as well, though.
Well, you know what? The sad part about this is that it's our reality, and I am totally guilty of this. Demi is not my first name. Love you, Mom, if you're watching. But, I have a very long 9-letter name that I probably, I would use Demi versus using my real name, and that's just the sad reality of it, because as Black people, we do feel like, this reminds me of the movie, I don't know if you guys saw Sorry to Bother You, where he had to use his white voice to get, but that's how we feel a lot of the times, and it's just the reality of it, that we use our, hi, oh my God, yeah, that voice, because we feel like that's going to be received better, and it's sad, but it's just the world that we live in.
It's called whitening up the resume.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, I mean, even Raven Simone on The View said one day, like, I'm not going to hire you if your name is Walla or whatever. She made up some name, but it's just kind of like she shouldn't have said that either. As a Black woman, you're adding to how people already feel
the
about
bias and the stigmatization. Absolutely. All right. Well, the United States has administered over 52 million doses of COVID-19 vaccines as of Sunday morning and delivered over 70 million doses, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention have said. The doses are for both Moderna and Pfizer-BioNTech vaccines as of Sunday. In more health news, uninsured Americans who want to buy Affordable Care Act coverage have another 3 months to do so, thanks to an executive order President Joe Biden signed last month. Today, for a special enrollment period that runs until May 15th, most states that operate their own marketplaces are also doing the same or are extending their sign-up season for several more weeks. Now, as it relates to the vaccine, let me tell you guys, after what I dealt with last week, I don't know what that was, a flu virus or whatever. I was shocked it wasn't COVID because of how I was feeling, and everybody saying, oh, you've got it, you've got it. Turned out to be negative, thank God, but I just wanted to stay away for, a little bit more time just so all the symptoms went away. But it let me know, I was like, if COVID feels anything like what I went through, please put me front of the line for Moderna vaccine. I want it, give it to me now. I was already an advocate for getting the vaccine. Now I'm shouting it from rooftops.
Wow, okay.
At first look at this announcement from him, it looks great, right? But the thing is that universal health insurance is not universal health care. So if you can't afford health insurance, you can log into the website, but you still don't have health care.
Agreed.
And we've got to make some changes in this country.
Yep.
Definitely do.
I agree. Let's take a look at our YouTube soulmates for a second. One of our soulmates here says, no more killer cops. And I absolutely agree with you with that one. Kim Johnson says, yes, Romeo, thank God he is still alive. And another one about our Joe story. One of our other soulmates says, train these guys, talking about no more cops, no more killer cops. We don't want $6.4 million. We want training. Another one says they need to do proper training like with any other job. Yes, I love it, soulmates. The comments are great. Keep them coming.